Well, hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to bring you guys onto this property I'm working on right now and show you what I'm doing here, how I'm laying out the bedding. It's a little bit different situation. We're up here in the thumb of Michigan, working on a pretty good sized property, and we got real high deer densities, and the client really wants to get a lot of security cover in here, try to hold as many deer as he can on this property. He's got a lot of other elements on the property. He's got great food. He's got great screening. But I think one of the biggest components that's missing here is really good security cover, diversity in woody browse, and natural forage. So that's what we're really trying to increase here. We're getting rid of some invasives. So I'm gonna kind of take you through, show you how I've laid things out. And we just recently had a little bit of snow up here. And so I just came through, and I was walking back through all the areas I've cut, and I want to take you guys along and show you some different things that I thought might be helpful for some guys. Okay, so I want to give a little bit of a background on this plan and show you guys, kind of an overview, of this property and where I'm going to be walking, just so you've got a good reference. So obviously this is the property. We've got a long 80 acres here, and we're working right in this back section of the property. We've got good perimeter access coming down both sides. And then we've kind of got this main trail that's feeding right up through into this micro staging plot where a lot of these bucks stage before they head out into these bigger ag fields. So there's going to be another blind right down here, and we're creating another big converging hub. This is not all the detail, that's really in this. I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview here. These are not, all the detail bedding areas. This is just kind of a quick overview. Some of the plots are in here, the main plots I walked, so I just want to give an overview. So this is kind of where I started, was up here. I walked down kind of a main travel corridor, went into bedding up through here, kind of did a loop, and then came all the way back down. This is where that future 360 blind is going to be, another little micro plot here. It's a big hub. I've got a couple other travel corridors kind of heading back up through here. And all these travel corridors all interconnect. There's several other trails that run through here as well. But it's kind of this big loop right in the center of the property with perimeter access. We got a big pine plantation over here. So we get a lot of natural edge movement, coming alongside those pines. So, they're kind of coming across this property, which is most of the design. As far as how I've cut and laid out, with using a lot of these older logging roads and main trails. So hopefully that gives you guys a good visual. All right, so starting off here, we've got kind of like this lowland little channel that runs down through here. And we've got this natural trail that they have running along this edge here. So a lot of times what I want to do is use these lowland areas. We got a little drainage coming through here, and drop a lot of my tops down through there. And, try to create a lot of screening and kind of a wall here. Again, we're trying to layer our bedding so we can fit a lot more deer, especially in the areas where we have high deer densities up here in the thumb of Michigan. So the more we can kind of screen off and compartmentalize bedding, typically the more deer and the more mature bucks you can hold. Just based on some intel the client has given me when we initially walked the property, he's seen some of his biggest deer back here in the little pockets of security cover on these different terrain features. So starting off, this is 2 days of cutting, and so I just want to give that for reference. So then I wanted to come back and show what this looks like, and then again we got this fresh snow, so this is just great. We can come through here, we can look at how these deer are using all these trails, and see where all these different deer are bedding too. So you can see these trails. We just got this snow. We got it yesterday morning. So this is about 24 hours later. And you can see just how many deer have been coming through this area. This is the main bedding area right here where the client started doing some cutting. So you can see we got a lot of sunlight in here. And some of these areas, we've just got a tremendous amount of sunlight. So I have to, be careful and make sure, we're getting rid of any invasives. You have to come back and do a little bit of control. But for the most part, this property is in pretty good shape. I don't see, a big invasive problem. But again, you just got to keep on it and, you know, try not to let it get out of control. We got multiple trails. A lot of these, I still got to come through and do some of the detail work. And we'll kind of take you back through this bedding area here. So you can see we're layering different walls within the interior of this bedding area. We've got many trails that are all leading, you know, back and forth. We've got plenty of escape routes. We've got great screening all the way around in here. You know, doing this detail work is really important. I think it's critical, whether, you know, you do it or have somebody else do it, or you have somebody do the rough cutting. I do that on a couple clients where, you know, I'll come in, I'll do a lot of the rough cutting, and the client wants to come in and do the detail work. But this is critically important, to come in, open up trails, open up escape routes. And, you know, this is proof that these deer are using all these trails. I can see where these deer are not wanting to go through. If it's too thick, maybe need to open up a couple areas. You can see we kind of have a little high mound right there. I've got a bee on that tree. You'll see some of those markings where when I did my original layout, you know, I'm looking for where these deer naturally want to bed. You can see we kind of got another opening here. You can just see, wow, man, there's a lot of deer that have been in here. There's another bed right there. So we got, again, you know, right in this correlation, we've got a thick wall right here. It's open. We got an opening here. This deer can get up, you know, jump over this. It's got an opening here. So you can see right here, this is a perfect example of kind of that sentinel bedding. We've got beds right here, a bed right there, a bed right there, a bed right there. And you kind of got, we're coming right to the east side of the property edge here. And you can see this is wide open. So these deer can sit in here. They can watch for any predators coming from a long ways. But, you know, they're just nothing but a couple jumps away from coming right into this good security cover. You can see all this browse here. They've just been hammering all this. Got another bed right there. Just kind of tucked right down underneath that hinge. So this is another kind of hub design right here. So we walked all the way through there. We did a big loop, came all the way back through around here. This is going to be a little staging plot right here. We got to open up a couple more of these trees. We got to bring some equipment in and we're going to clear some of this out and just make a nice little micro plot. If you can see that tree over there, that's where the a new 360 blind is going to go. And, you know, really what we want to do is we want to build that outside property edge, and we want to build layers of walls, you know, inside, running parallel to, you know, these property lines, so we can really get a lot of parallel movement on this property. All right, so as you can see, I'm standing right next to an older hinge cut that the client had cut approximately, I think, 5 years ago. You know, in this area, we got lots of sunlight. They did bring down some bigger trees, which is critically important that I see to the survival of these smaller hinge cuts. And the reason why most of them don't stay together is, you know, they typically did not get enough sunlight. You know, a lot of people have great intentions, but you've got to get enough sunlight down there. And I tell clients typically, you know, right around that 50 to 60% sunlight. You know, and that kind of goes back to managing oaks too. I'm going to show you guys a little clip of a small oak I cut down the other day. It was dead, and I counted the growth rings on it, and it was 20 years old. And it was only about 4 inches, you know, in diameter. So, you know, thinning those oaks out is huge if you want to improve your acorn production, you know, and if you can get them right down to that, you know, a lot of foresters say right around that 60 to 70%, or that 60 to 70 basal feet per area, you know, is optimal. So what I want to talk about here is, obviously we've got a new hinge cut right here that I just cut. We've got a wall here, and, you know, a lot of times what I want to do is go through after these trees. This tree is still alive. It's still got you know, it's regrowth right here. It's got new shoots coming up. Obviously, these are all out of the deer's level now. This is really doing nothing again for deer. So what I want to do is, after this all grows together, I want to go through and just coppice this tree off. I'm going to flush cut it back off. This is all going to stay intact. This wall is going to stay intact. We've got structure here, and I want to get the sunlight back down to the ground. And at the same time I'm doing that, I'm going to coppice this off and create another mineral stump. You can see, I don't know if you can, but I'll show you. There's been, you know, several different sprouts coming off of this trunk right here, and I want to direct all that energy back down to the base of the tree, just like you do in a mineral stump. So not only are we getting structure, you know, for, you know, screening and compartmentalizing deer, but we're also getting a lot of sunlight in, and we're getting mineral stumps and more sunlight back down to the ground. So, you know, I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. And this is all credit to Jim Ward. Jim Ward, you know, I got to work with him several times on a lot of different properties. This is something he's been doing on properties for several years, and was really kind of a pioneer in, you know, creating these walls and going back through and doing the maintenance on these bedding areas. And that's critically important, you know, to the long term, you know, in your predictability on your bedding areas on your property. So just wanted to share that with you guys, and hopefully that makes sense and you guys can, you know, apply these things to your property. So I want to show you guys this oak right here. I believe this is a swamp white oak right here, and it's real rotten, so it's a little hard to tell, but you know, this is probably about, I don't know, 3 inches, 4 inches in diameter, and it might be a little bit hard to tell. We just had some snow on it, but I counted these growth rings when it was easier to tell the other day, and this is, you know, close to a 20-year-old tree. So this tree was completely suppressed by a lot of these soft maples. You know, somebody probably came in here and you know, took a lot of the more higher quality oaks and a lot of these shade tolerant trees, and then, you know, a couple of these soft maples, they really exploded, took off in here. As you can see, we got another nice oak right there. We open up around that. So, you know, you've got to give these oaks a lot of sunlight. You can see just based on the crown of this, it's just been pushing out, struggling to stay alive, you know, just because it's not getting enough sunlight, and it's, you know, pushing out into these open areas. And, you know, in those situations, those trees are going to bend and they're going to start wanting to grow out that way. Or, you know, if you want to grow good timber, you want these trees all striving to grow straight up and down, and you know, have a nice crown on them, especially if your goal is acorn production. You know, we've got 2 more over there. I cut a couple trees around those, so we're gonna try to get some more sunlight to those. You know, we got several apple trees in this opening here we're cutting around, so, you know, just improving those oaks and trying to take out a lot of the junk or just kind of low grade timber, which is typically, you know, the best for your deer habitat.